Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe Up, episode 178. This is the show where I share my opinions on current events. This is the show where I feed the haters because they don't like my opinion, but I don't care because it just makes me want to do this show more. So let's get into it. I'm sure to make people mad in this one. Starting off with this story, we all know how many people absolutely love Disney to the point of obsession, to the point of it could just be a certain property of Disney, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Marvel, whether it's theme parks, whether it's their animated stuff, whatever it is, people absolutely love Disney. And I, myself, don't. I don't like Disney. I don't like the fact that they own everything. Like they keep buying up media properties and franchises and regurgitate old classics into live-action money grabs. I don't like the fact that when they became the exclusive broadcaster for the UFC, that they, during a global pandemic, raised the price of pay-per-view costs multiple times throughout that whole thing that's still going on. We're 2 years into a pandemic, and despite the fact that everybody seems to not give a shit anymore, doesn't change the fact that Disney was on the forefront of price gouging, which is a big trend in corporate America, where prices are being raised under the guise of inflation. Where stock prices and profits are at an all-time high for these mega corporations, and the regular everyday people are being sucked dry. And Disney is no different from all of those companies. They steal from artists. They steal art from artists and don't pay them. They screw over their actors, like Scarlett Johansson having to sue Disney because of breach of contract. They're not a good company, and or you could just look at their mascots and understand that Mickey and Minnie Mouse are blackface characters that are mascots for a family corporation. So there's a lot of things not to like about Disney, and recently they've been making the news. Although by the time this episode comes out, this will have been old news. But it's still my comments, my opinions on this news. Of course, we all know that a bill in Florida, like so many red states, have passed that is an anti-gay, don't say gay bill. Basically forcing teachers not to acknowledge the fact that people have different sexual identities and gender identities. Sexual preferences and gender identities, that there's a plethora of ways for humans to experience this reality. And Florida, as well with a lot of other red states, only allow very specific realities to exist legally in their states. You can only be pretty much the only free people in those states are white men. Rich white men specifically. If you're a woman, you don't have as many rights. If you have any other variation of sexual identity than hardline straight, then you are an outcast and illegal. You are looked down upon and shamed. Science is something that is highly discouraged, especially in Florida. And Disney supports a lot of those politicians. They probably support a lot of those politicians in other states as well. But since Disney has a big foothold in Florida, they support a lot of those politicians in Florida. And not till after this bill passed did Disney decide to utilize the PR possibility by going against it. In a memo to Disney staff, CEO Bob Chapek extended the apology to LGBTQ employees in particular, vowing that the company would take action on opposing similar legislation going forward. Didn't bother to oppose it, this current legislation, but going forward, they will oppose it. And that it would pause all political donations in Florida. Quote, "It's clear that this is not just an issue about a bill in Florida, but instead yet another challenge to basic human rights," unquote, Chapek says. Quote, you needed me to be a stronger ally in the fight for equal rights, and I let you down," end quote. He added, quote, "I am sorry," end quote. At a shareholders meeting on Wednesday, according to CNN, Chapek said he had called Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to express his, quote, "disappointment and concern," end quote, in the legislation, and added that the company would donate $5 million to LGBTQ rights organizations. First off, I want to know how much Disney donates to Republican politicians in Florida, in Texas, in all of these other states. I mean, they're probably mostly Florida and California, I would imagine. California, more blue state, despite the fact people really, really wanting it to be a red state. And then Florida. But it's the use of the word paused really implies that it's a temporary solution. And since they waited for the legislation to pass before coming out against it, it's very convenient that they are coming out against it. It's a win-win for Disney, right? The legislation passed in Florida. Now Disney can come out and act like they care, right? Like they're mildly being more inclusive in their properties, mildly. Like there's like the thinnest reference to anything non-straight in their products. There is very, very finely referenced ideas that maybe somebody might not be straight in their stuff. So they're doing the least possible because they want money. And a lot of money comes from right-wing people. Everybody loves Disney, including the racists. So, of course, what's Disney going to do when this all blows over in a week because something other, there's just going to be some other crazy legislation that's going to go on in another red state where somebody's going to get away with murder. There's going to be something new in the news to just make this whole don't say gay thing disappear from the zeitgeist of human acknowledgement, and Disney's going to go right back to donating. They're going to unpause, because they didn't stop donations. They paused donations. You're going to go right back to funding these Republicans as long as they get what they want in Florida. They don't care. Disney's pretending to care because they value money. They don't give a fuck about people. They don't give a fuck about artists. They don't give a fuck about anything but money. And they may have this culture of inclusivity or whatever, but you look at that corporation and they raise price. They price gouge more than everybody. No studio price gouges, in my opinion, as much as Disney. So right now you have all the conservatives hating on Disney because they've come out against this thing that already passed. Because Disney's doing the smallest amount of disagreement with what's happening in Florida. Of course, conservatives are going to whine and cry and go ballistic, right? And then on the other side, you have a lot of liberals which I consider myself a very progressive liberal, which makes a lot of people very angry in my comments. What's up? What's up, trolls? Make sure you cry about how you disagree with me on this one. But all these liberals are like, yay, Disney! Because they want to love Disney. Because Disney is so good. They have Disney Plus and everything. They have The Mandalorian. They got Star Wars. They got Marvel. Yay, Disney. They got my childhood over at Disney. I got Disney Plus. Fuck Disney. They don't care about you. They don't care about Star Wars or Marvel. They just buy this shit because they know you'll buy it. And all these liberals that are applauding Disney for this, like Disney, if they wanted to, could do so much for the LGBTQ2, movement. But they're not. They could do straight up movies about what it's like for a kid to be trans. They could have straight up characters that are straight up gay. And not just like mildly referenced that like, according to Disney, these characters are gay. There's nothing about them that would like show that, but like we say they are. So they're, conservatives will get mad. So that we're doing something very progressive over here at Disney. By the way, don't look at our mascots. It's ridiculous. It's a PR move for Disney. To make them, they're doing the least amount of stuff. $5 million to the LGBTQ movement. $5 million. How much revenue does Disney make? How many billions of dollars do they make on a single movie? And they give $5 million. You know how much they pay like their actors to act that they fuck over? Like they fuck over their actors. And they get millions upon millions of dollars, but they're going to put $5 million. Oh, it sounds like a lot. I mean, it's definitely a lot for people that have a Disney Plus subscription. $5 million go a long way. But $5 million, it's just the same like Elon Musk. Oh, look, he doesn't pay any taxes, but he donated all this money. It's like, yeah, that would have been a minor fraction of what he would actually owe if he was forced to pay the actual taxes that he would need to owe to be considered paying his fair share. It is a joke. It is a joke, this whole Disney thing. I don't buy it one bit. The fact that he waited so long. No. Oh, all of a sudden Disney's all kind of progressive. When? They are far from that. They are a conservative company that is mildly changing some things. And that's what he's saying. So we thought we would do it behind the scenes. We're going to put out movies that people can pay for, and we'll have characters that may or may not be considered to be something other than straight. I don't buy it. A lot of people are buying it just because it's an us or them thing. And I'm not happy with Disney for the same reasons that conservatives are angry at Disney. Conservatives are angry at Disney because they showed any kind of support for something that's not straight white male. But as far as what Disney could do, this is like a pathetic drop in the bucket. $5 million. Pausing funding. It's just like all the companies that jumped on the Black Lives Matter movement during the George Floyd protests. What happened to all those companies that were supporting those things? Fucking disappeared. They're just jumping on the trend bandwagon to get some free PR. They're virtue signaling to their customers. Hey, we pretend to give a fuck. Buy more of our shit. And guess what? We're going to regurgitate all that shit you bought and made it worse and charge you more for it. Because we're Disney. We love you. We have family values. So I'm not buying it. I'm glad they did something, but it's like, whatever. It's all show. It's all show, no go. Right? You'll know when Disney is really doing shit because the conservative party will like cancel Disney, because that's what conservatives do. They cry and bitch and moan about cancel culture, while on the same hand trying to literally cancel freedoms for everybody. So if Disney was actually doing progressive things with their content behind the scenes, then there would be a huge outcrying from the conservative party to get rid of Disney, which you don't hear of. You hear little things here and there because it's only like some side character is supposedly rumored to be not straight. So yeah, fuck Disney. Do everything I can not to spend money to that corporation. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out. Browse the entire collection. And when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10% as a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. Let's move on to some good news, this time in the marijuana sphere. New Yorkers with marijuana convictions will get first retail licenses. Officials intend to reserve the first 100 or more retail licenses to sell marijuana in New York for people who have been convicted of related offenses or their relatives. This is great. This is great. First off, in every state where weed is legal, there should be 0 people in prison for that thing. Everybody should be let the fuck out, apologized to, and given like a hefty "our bad" monetary settlement, which of course they're never going to do. But at least this is amazing. This doesn't seem real. Doesn't seem like there's no reason why they would do that, but it's amazing. It is, giving people, which makes sense. Like, you would want to give the people who are on the forefront of an industry first dibs on starting their business. It makes the most sense. So, I'm happy. Hopefully this is real. Hopefully this happens. Obviously, I'm happy that New York has legal weed now, as so many states over the past decade have finally started waking up to the fact that the plant is one of the most harmless things you can ingest. Water is more dangerous than weed is. You can literally drink yourself to death drinking water. But nobody in the history of mankind has ever consumed enough weed to kill them. So I appreciate that. It's like, here's something. Disney will never, Disney will have people in their things probably drinking and drunk before they will ever have anybody smoke weed. Moving on to some movie news. Rob Zombie's The Munsters movie, which is a TV classic. Also, were there any movies? I don't think there were any movies. Maybe back in the day, maybe back in the 80s. But Rob Zombie is making a Munsters movie, and it will be officially, it's official, it's going to be a PG movie. Now, hearing the news that Rob Zombie is making a Munsters movie kind of makes me excited. Recently, I rewatched all of Rob Zombie's films to rank them, to give my top 5 Rob Zombie films. And he's got a very unique aesthetic. He has a very specific vibe. Rob Zombie's voice in film is one of a kind. And the idea that Rob Zombie's aesthetic can become a PG-13 film is ludicrous. Like, does not make me feel happy whatsoever. I mean, it'll be interesting to see his visual aesthetic with that family. I mean, that definitely makes sense. Kind of that gritty, weathered, worn down, dusty aesthetic that Rob Zombie has. Especially for the Monsters, which is like, it's a horror property. It's, like I was expecting, it's kind of comedic. The TV show is a family show. But the idea of a PG is, I don't know, man. I don't know. It makes me not at all excited. Now, it could be, this could be the change that really sets Rob Zombie off on a new trajectory with films. Like, if Rob Zombie becomes like the new family filmmaker, would be insane. The guy who made House of a Thousand Corpses is now doing kids movies. PG. Let me see. The PG rating is for macabre and suggestive material, scary images, and language, which the language can't be that bad for PG. Not a PG-13. PG. Which likens it to similar caliber as the Hotel Transylvania movies or Paranorman, a.k.a. kids movies. I'm interested, but not hopeful at all that this is going to pull off, that he's going to pull this off. Rob Zombie's long-awaited film adaptation of The Munsters is staying true to form and has been given the family-friendly PG rating. Yeah, everything about that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't at all make sense. It's like, it would be like somebody coming out and saying, oh, Trump is a philanthropist and he's donating his time to hungry children. It's like, what? That doesn't, what is going on? That doesn't make any sense. Rob Zombie's doing a PG-13 movie? PG, sorry. Not even PG-13. Just parental guidance is suggested. What? No. But I'm interested. It's an interesting fact. It's an interesting piece of movie, which makes me less hopeful for the movie. Way more excited to see a hardcore Rob Zombie version. Way more. That's just like, ooh. It's interesting what he did with the Halloween franchise. He made it more actiony, grittier. The prequel kind of thing to the Michael Myers character was interesting. Really tried that's Rob Zombie in all of his movies tries to get the audience to sympathize with these disgusting, horrible characters. And it was exactly the same in the Halloween reboot. And the second one wasn't very good, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm interested, but not as excited. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. Now, moving on to our final story of the episode, U.S. police have so much extra gear, they're sending it to the Ukraine. Defund the police, people. They don't stop crime. They don't stop bullets. They're terrorists. Overfunded terrorists. Like, we need to reevaluate services that actually help society versus police, which, watching all these clips that are happening in Russia, could easily be the United States. Seeing cops beating protesters. Oh, yeah, just look at George Floyd. I mean, we're not seeing Russia gas their people. We're not seeing Russia shoot their people with rubber bullets. I mean, we are seeing people being escorted away as soon as they hold up any kind of sign in public. Like, I saw two today. One was, I think they're both women, but two people, separate people. One was holding up just a blank piece of paper, got taken away. And another one held up a small little index card, and written on it was the words, 2 words in Russian. At least that's what I was told in the caption. I may have said something else. But immediately as the card went up, got escorted away. In a somewhat civil manner. Right? Escorted away in a similar way that the police officers escorted out the people who invaded the Capitol building on January 6th, right? You've all seen the picture of the cop escorting the old lady down the stairs. It is a very similar fashion. Now, there have been videos of cops in Russia beating people with batons, but we saw that all over the place in the U.S. Like, seriously, the U.S. is not far different than Russia. We invade places. We overturn governments for our own profit constantly. It is the American way to invade and overturn countries and get different people in power in order to secure a deal for resources, whether it's mostly for gas. I mean, I believe the majority of this fighting for Ukraine is Russia to get the natural gas reserves that Ukraine has in its land. But yeah, the cops have so much, and it's kind of, I guess it's nice that the cops are at least sending it to the Ukraine people, because it would seem, I'm sure most police officers are similar to a lot of the conservative people that are super Putin-like simps. But yeah, you have so much extra stuff that you're just sending it over. You're just donating it. Like, we have teachers in this country that have to use their own money to buy school supplies for the children. But meanwhile, the police officers are so heavily funded that they have excess that they can just donate to war efforts that they probably don't even agree with. That's how fucking crazy this world is. So should I read this whole thing? Police departments around the U.S. are donating tactical gear to Ukraine, whose annual defense budget is smaller. Ukraine's defense budget is smaller than the NYPD's. The New York Police Department gets more money than the entire military organization for Ukraine. Fuck the United States. This is disgusting. Law enforcement agencies in several states have all announced in recent days that they're donating dozens of pieces of body armor, such as ballistic helmets and vests. Some of the departments and their respective local partners, one of which is a top defense contractor with U.S. and Ukraine government contracts, say the donations will be distributed to Ukrainian citizens under siege by Russian military. State law enforcement agencies in Colorado and Vermont both announced Wednesday that they were donating defensive equipment to Ukraine. Vermont Governor Phil Scott said the state's policing agencies were coordinating an effort to donate used and expired body armor vests to military units in Ukraine. And the Vermont State Police also encourage members of the public to donate their own body armor as long as it's rated level 3 or higher by the Department of Justice Research Arms, capable of protecting against some rifle rounds, in other words. Departments in Pennsylvania and New York have also announced donations. The U.S. police departments have gear capable of protecting people during a war is not surprising. Since 1997, the Pentagon has transferred billions of dollars worth of equipment, including small arms, aircraft, and tactical vehicles, to more than 8,000 U.S. law enforcement agencies throughout the 1,033 program and defense departments, defense logistics agencies, and law enforcement support office. But while it's not completely unheard of for police departments to donate tactical gear, in 2004, North Carolina police departments donated 1,500 bulletproof vests to a North Carolina National Guard unit that was deployed to Iraq. It doesn't appear to be unusual, particularly to donate the gear overseas. Honest to God, I have no idea how often this is done or who does it. Chuck Wexler, a leading police researcher who services as the executive director of the Police Executive Research Forum, told Vice News in an email. Yeah. I mean, it's good that they do those things, but should they be in a position to have so many excess equipment to just donate it? Because that's stuff that they use against citizens of the United States, right? Like, they're sending war equipment to a war going on. Meanwhile, it normally would have been used in the United States to attack and terrorize the citizens of this country. Give them all of it. Give them all of the police tanks. Give them all the stuff. Let's reconfigure how we consider policing in this country, how we consider dealing with crime, how we consider dealing with mental illness in this country. But the cops are a big part of the industrial prison complex. Get people in those private prisons that are now competing with regular wages. You know, people can't make money in the real world, so, you know, lock them up into a prison, make money that way. It's disgusting. Everything's broken, but interesting that there's so much of it going around at police departments that they can get rid of it. We got so much. We get away with murder all the time. What do we need bulletproof vests? It's safer to be a cop than it is a delivery driver. In this country, more people die delivering food than cops do getting shot on the job. Meanwhile, if a delivery driver were to kill somebody, they would immediately be put in prison. But if you're a cop and you kill somebody, maybe you lose your job. Maybe you're on unpaid leave for a bit. Very rarely do they get put in prison, unless it's like the highest profile case. Like, only George Floyd's murder is the higher profile case, high enough profile case for the murderer to be justly imprisoned. You had to have like the entire world protesting the George Floyd murder for that piece of shit to be put in prison. Most of them just go about their day. Anyway, that's it. Let's do some shout-outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to BuzzFeed News. Shout out to You Don't Know Doug. Shout out Slash Film. And shout out Vice News. But most importantly, shout out to you and my ability to speak. Fuck Disney. Defund the police. Only rated R for Rob Zombie. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.